Welcome to Search for Signs. My name is Gary Willing. If this information interests you, please press the like and subscribe button and press the bell for notifications. So, I got some good news and I got some bad news for you. The good news is that the same divine impulse that created the entire universe sits within the hearts of all of us without exception. And you want to know the bad news? That same divine impulse that created the entire universe sits within the hearts of all of us without exception. And what do I mean by that? Let's start with the bad news, right? We all are creators on our own level. We all create our lives for good or for ill, without exception. Everything that's going wrong in our lives is all of our own making. It's a misuse of our own free will is really what it is. And the way out is what all the great teachers in the past have put an emphasis on in their teachings. Every single one of them. The Buddha, Jesus, all the disciples, Krishna, Confucius, all the esoteric teachings, Maitreya, of course, today, are all putting an emphasis on the need for harmlessness. We all have to learn to live life without harming people. It's very difficult because none of us do it. Now, one of the masters even said that you have no idea how far out your thoughts go before they come back to you. And if they're destructive thoughts, they do a lot of destruction going out and they do a lot of destruction coming back before they actually hit you. If they're constructive or thoughts of service or thoughts of love or whatever like that, same thing. Goes out, does a lot of good, comes back, does a lot of good. Energy follows thought, right? It's an energy is really what it is. But Maitreya, when he's going to be speaking to the world, and a lot of these masters, when they're giving their teachings out to the world, talking about the need for harmlessness and so forth, they're going to bring it up to date. Because, like if you look at the Bible, for instance, right? Most fundamentalists put a tremendous amount of focus on the Ten Commandments, the need to follow the Ten Commandments, which there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with following the Ten Commandments, but Jesus didn't put a lot of emphasis on the Ten Commandments. He put more emphasis on the need to live your life moment to moment today. And, what you sow shall you reap. Those who live by the sword shall die by the sword. He was talking about the need to live your life more harmlessly because you can't really, I guess you can, but most people don't live their life moment to moment governed by the Ten Commandments. It's not, it's a lot, it's not harder. It's just, we don't live our lives like that. But you can learn to live your life harmlessly moment to moment if you watch your thoughts and you guard your thoughts and you have honesty of mind, sincerity of spirit, and of course detachment, like I was saying in a previous video with Maitreya. But Maitreya and these masters are going to bring it up to date. They're not only going to be talking about us individually, but they're going to be talking about groups living life more harmlessly, races living life more harmlessly, and of course nations living life more harmlessly. Because nations, according to the masters, what they put out, they get back. So like looking at the United States, right? We create all these wars all over the country. All over the country, all over the world, right? And we mess with this country, we mess with that country, we do a lot of negative stuff. And it creates all sorts of problems for us here in the United States that we aren't connecting the dots to yet. So we just see the disasters in our country, like the fires out west, or hurricanes with greater strength, or tornadoes in the Midwest, or so forth, or whatever, right? Droughts in this area, rains in this area, right? And it's all a direct result of a country's misuse of its free will, and and that's what's creating the problems for every country, because no country lives totally harmlessly, just like no individual does. But these masters will start to teach us how to live life more harmlessly. Not only teach us verbally, but they will be showing us moment to moment how to live life more harmlessly, because that's all they do is live life harmlessly. They don't harm anybody. That's what makes them a master. That's the difference between them and us, really. But that same divine potential for creation that's within their hearts, that allows them to do what they do, to think themselves from one side of the planet to the other instantaneously, to be able to create something in their hand or so forth, or create clothes. So like Maitreya, when you see him, he might have a new outfit on, right? But he didn't go to the store and buy it. He can just think it, right? And that's that same creation that's in their heart is in our hearts, but they know how to live life harmlessly. And so it doesn't harm anybody else when they do that. Does that make sense? So when a country like the United States uses all its creative, not all, but uses a lot of its creative resources to create arms to harm somebody else, well, of course that harm's going to come back on us. It's just natural. It's just the way it is, And until countries and people learn to connect the dots and go, okay, well, when I harm somebody else, it comes back on me. When we learn that one lesson, we will start to put war aside forever, because you can't go around harming other people and expect to live life, at peace. It just doesn't work like that. But, and as always, take action. Help SOP save our planet. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to talking to you again in future videos. Have a great day.